Welcome to the Deconstructionist Deep Dive, the podcast that doesn't just accept the story.
We break it.
We examine the pieces.
And expose the machinery inside. Let's dive in. What if the ultimate spiritual trap isn't being told you're wrong, but being forced to choose between their mastery or your helplessness?
Right. We've got a really interesting set of sources today. They're excerpts from a book called Dissecting Esoteric Deceptions, A Guide to Freedom. And our mission, really, is to peel back those layers, expose the underlying tricks, the deceptions, and maybe give you some tools to navigate all the noise out there.
Yeah, it's not just about understanding the ideas, is it? It's about spotting the traps.
Exactly. Spotting the hidden levers, the ways these narratives try to steer you.
And what's really kind of cool about these sources is they don't just lay out like an esoteric system. They actually break down how it persuades people.
Right. It's like getting the blueprint for the machine and then getting the user manual on how to spot its weaknesses, where to jam the gears. Exactly, how to take it apart. It's about giving you that clarity, that ability to see what's really going on underneath.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The main thing, the real linchpin, according to the source material itself, is what it calls the ultimate choice.
Ah, yes.
Which, as we'll see, is basically a critical false binary that just flies under the radar most of the time.
Yeah, it's subtle.
So this whole deep dive is about getting that clarity, helping you see past those limited options they give you, reclaiming your own intellectual space. So let's start right there. The central lever, this ultimate choice.
Okay.
The sources describe this huge pressure right now, supposedly forcing everyone into one of two boxes.
Right.
Either you develop this deep, inward, spiritual stability. They call it stayed physics of the soul, which is quite a term.
Touchy.
Or you regress. You start looking for external security, like parental authority figures, maybe relying on the government for care.
So it's this really stark either develop our way or become helpless.
Exactly. It's presented as an ultimatum.
And the source really digs into this, doesn't it? It calls it a false dilemma and uses fear-based coercion.
Yeah, specifically Deception 5, the false binary of enlightenment.
Which is such an old trick, really. Like you said, the classic, you're either with us or against us.
Literally.
It just crushes all the nuance, doesn't it? Creates this panic, this urgency to push you down their path.
And the key part is what it doesn't say.
Right. It just quietly erases the possibility of a third way or a fourth or your own way. It pretends there are only two doors.
So for you listening, the takeaway here is learning to recognize when someone's trying to fence you in like that. Pushing you towards an outcome they've already decided on. You choose their mastery, their system.
Or admit you're helpless. It's a powerful psychological corner to be backed into. How often do we just accept those limited choices without even questioning if there's another option?
But okay, this ultimate choice, this binary, it doesn't just like pop out of nowhere.
No, never does.
These systems always build some grand story, a foundational mythology, to make it all feel inevitable. Cosmic, even.
Yeah, the sources talk about this two-phase model of human evolution.
Explain that a bit.
Well, it basically suggests human evolution on Earth has two big stages. First, there's a Mars phase.
Okay.
That's about spirit descending into matter. It requires struggle, passion, building strong structures like, institutions, culture, the family unit. Solid stuff.
Right, building things out.
Then comes the Mercury phase.
Yeah.
And the goal there is actually to dissolve those very structures you just built.
Interesting.
To raise matter back up towards spirit. And the hook is we're supposedly caught right now in this really tricky transition between the two.
So like losing the old support beams before the new ones are ready.
Exactly. Feeling adrift, which conveniently makes their solution seem more attractive.
And what's interesting from our deconstruction angle is how the source flags this. It calls it an unfalsifiable historical metaphor.
Ah, yes. The just so story.
Precisely. It's this huge cosmic narrative. Sounds profound, but there's zero empirical evidence. You can't test it. Its main function is to make you feel like you're living through this incredibly significant, maybe even dangerous, preordained moment in time.
But if you can't test it, can't falsify it, what value does it actually have as an explanation?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? But it clearly works on people.
It does. And you have to ask, why does that resonate? Why do these big, untestable stories feel so compelling?
Good question.
If you look at it, it kind of mirrors things like, say, Hegelian dialectics, thesis, antithesis, synthesis, but dressed up as cosmology. It gives this sense of order, of progress towards a goal.
Unlike, say, other views.
Right, like Taoism, for instance, often presents cycles without a specific end goal, endless change. This linear story can feel more comforting, maybe, like a promise that current struggles lead to future salvation.
So it makes you feel part of a plan.
Yeah, but maybe a plan someone else wrote. It can subtly make you a passive character in their cosmic drama, instead of the active author of your own life. It's a clever way to take away your agency by giving you a grand narrative role.
Okay, so you have the false choice, the grand story.
Yeah.
But how do they make you believe them? How do they establish authority?
Ah, yeah, the authority piece is crucial. The sources bring up Helena Blavatsky and Theosophy as a key example.
Right, back in the late 19th century, pushing back against scientific materialism.
Exactly. And where did her authorities supposedly come from? Not peer-reviewed research.
No, it was psychic powers, phenomena she claimed happened in broad daylight, access to secret Tibetan texts nobody else could see.
And direct chats with these hidden Himalayan masters, the Mahatmas.
Pretty convenient.
Very. And the source analysis nails this, calling it a textbook argument for miracles and an esoteric appeal to authority, meaning its truth claim rests entirely on things you can't verify. Personal powers, secret knowledge, you just have to take their word for it. It demands belief based on awe, on spectacle, not evidence.
Deception 3, the argument for miracles. It short-circuits critical thinking.
Totally. It replaces the need for evidence with just. Wow. It sets up the person making the claim as this kind of magician king figure.
Whose word is law, basically.
Much.
So for you, the listener, the flag here is when someone bases their claims on extraordinary powers you can't check, or secret knowledge only they have access to.
Pause.
Big pause.
Yeah. Ask yourself, what verifiable evidence is actually on the table? Or am I just being asked to believe because it sounds amazing, or because the person seems important or special?
That's where your internal skeptic needs to earn its keep.
All right, so we've got the choice, the story, the authority. What about making it feel like destiny, like it's all written in the stars?
Yes. The celestial timetable, that's another big one.
The sources talk about astrology, specifically linking these double transits of Venus across the sun. Right, claiming they create an 8-year germinal period.
A germination period for what?
For big initiatives in, get this, black and white magic, forces that supposedly shape the next 100 years.
Wow. Specific.
Oh, yeah. They explicitly link the 2004-2012 cycle to, like, the end of the Mayan calendar buzz and these surging magical forces.
And they find historical precedent.
Of course. They point back to the 1874-1882 cycle, which is when, conveniently, the Theosophical Society was founded. See the pattern?
I do. Correlation, causation.
Yeah.
Bit fuzzy there.
Extremely fuzzy. The analysis calls it a classic astrological fallacy and a correlation-causation vulnerability.
Basically connecting dots that aren't really connected.
Exactly, asserting this huge historical and spiritual significance based on completely arbitrary movements of planets. The Mayan calendar link is, well, pretty typical pseudo-archaeology weaving unrelated things into a narrative.
And Deception 9, the astrological determinism dodge. Was it dodge?
It dodges responsibility. It replaces human agency, cause and effect that you can actually analyze with this fatalistic sky story.
The stars made me do it.
Pretty much. It tells you events are governed by celestial alignments, not by choices, not by power structures, not by your actions. It subtly absolves you of responsibility and blinds you to how things really work.
It is easy to get sucked into that, though. Grand cosmic cycles, feeling like you're part of something momentous and pre-written.
Absolutely. It feels significant.
But you constantly have to ask, is there a real causal link here? Or is this just a story being draped over events to give a specific movement or belief system this unearned sense of destiny?
What if you are the cause, not the planet?
Okay, another common thread in these kinds of systems is creating an us versus them dynamic, right?
Definitely. Forging identity through grievance.
Sources detail this whole historical narrative about how spirit and soul have been systematically banned or suppressed.
Yeah, like pointing to the Council of 869 supposedly making spirit abstract, or Descartes shifting focus, or even Wilhelm Wundt's psychology reducing the soul to biofeedback.
It sounds like a compelling story of the truth being pushed down by the establishment.
It does. But the analysis identifies this as a historical simplification and, more importantly, a persecution narrative.
A common trope.
Very common in esoteric circles. It's that classic Gnostic framing, really. You've got the ignorant, oppressive world outside. Could be the church, could be scientists, could be the system.
And they're suppressing the real divine knowledge that only the in-group possesses.
Exactly. Deception, too, the banishment narrative. It's powerful because it builds group identity through shared grievance, a sense of being special, elite, misunderstood.
It creates kind of siege mentality.
Precisely. It makes you cling tighter to the group, dependent on them for the real story, because everyone else is supposedly part of the suppression.
So a question for you, the listener. How many groups or belief systems do you know that define themselves mainly by what they oppose?
Rather than just what they stand for.
Yeah. And why is that persecuted rebel narrative so appealing? What deep need does it tap into? Maybe the need to belong, even if it's belonging to the outsiders. Hashtag science meaning and false dichotomies. Let's circle back to science for a minute. The sources have a very particular take on it.
Oh, yes. Defining science as thanatology, the study of death.
Right. Claiming it can only tell us what things are made of, the material stuff.
Yeah.
But it's incapable of telling us what things mean.
And even worse, that it actively vacuums meaning out of the universe.
That's a heavy charge.
It is. And the analysis immediately flags this as a false dichotomy.
It's forcing a choice.
Exactly. It forces you to choose. Either you accept scientific inquiry or you can have spiritual meaning. It denies that you could possibly integrate both.
Which leads to things like Deception 4, the science of the spirit con.
Which is often what they call lexical theft, stealing the language of science.
Like physics of the soul.
Right. Stealing terms like energy, vibration, quantum, to lend this veneer of scientific credibility to claims that are actually purely metaphysical.
It plays on our desire for truth, for evidence.
But offers none. It just dresses up dogma in a lab coat, hoping you won't ask too many questions. It implies the research is already done. Just accept our conclusions. Don't question the authority.
So this is really critical for you, the learner. You absolutely do not have to choose between understanding the world scientifically and finding deep meaning in it.
Not at all.
You can be rational and have a rich inner life. You can integrate different ways of knowing without resorting to pseudoscience that just pretends to be factual.
The real challenge, maybe, is finding ways to hold both authentically.
Okay, we've hit the big ones, the binary, the myth, authority, destiny, persecution, the science thing.
Yeah.
But the sources mention other tactics too, right?
Oh, yeah, lots of subtle variations. Like, they might accurately diagnose a real modern problem.
Like what?
Like modern media being a nightshade bloom or the constant battle for attention. I mean, who doesn't feel that?
True. That part resonates.
Exactly. The diagnosis is often spot on, but then the prescription they offer is where the deception creeps back in.
How so?
Well, the sources talk about framing universal anxieties, things that might have real socioeconomic or political roots, as a public initiation.
A spiritual trial.
Yeah, like it's all part of some grand, intentional spiritual test you're undergoing. This is flagged as Deception 6, the public initiation scam.
And the danger there is?
It spiritualizes material problems. It subtly redirects your energy away from, say, trying to change the world or fix systemic issues.
And channels it into just working on yourself within their specific framework.
Right. Making you a compliant participant in structures that might actually be causing the anxiety by telling you the problem is just your perception or your spiritual readiness.
It turns collective problems into individual spiritual homework.
Exactly. Or think about something like confronting your shadow. A valid psychological idea, right? Facing the unconscious.
Sure, Carl Jung, etc.
But then they offer a specific, prescribed, maybe ritualized technique like shadow gazing, a one-size-fits-all method.
Which oversimplifies complex inner work.
Totally. And the source calls this Deception 8, the prescriptive technique trap. It basically encourages you to outsource your own intuition.
Telling you the answer isn't inside you, it's in this specific practice that they control.
Right. Creates dependency. And you see similar patterns with Deception 7, the ancient wisdom gambit, prioritizing tradition over your lived experience, stifling critical thought.
Or even Deception 10, the covert reinstatement of hierarchy.
Ah, the promise of freedom that leads to a new master.
Yeah, offering liberation from one system only to subtly slot you into theirs.
Ultimately, all these variations boil down to one thing, don't they?
What's that?
Getting you to give away your sovereignty. Allowing someone else, some system, some technique, some authority figure to define your reality, your path, your potential. And that's our deep dive for this week.
Remember, the most dangerous illusion is the one you don't know you're in.
But now you know. So here's our question for you. Where in your life are you being presented with a false binary? What is the third option they don't want you to see?
Let us know in the comments. Question the narrative, deconstruct the dogma, see the system.
We'll see you next time. Stay skeptical.